Alright, so the first part of this video, I got a little update for this car, and I'll show you. Is it a good thing? I don't know, you tell me. Let's take a peek inside my engine bay. Ooh, it's nice and toasty. It's a little dirty. I need to clean it real bad. This is all fucked up, and that's all fucking dirty, and this is all gross. But that's not important. Yeah, it looks real bad. Actually, now that I think about it, I cleaned off my charge pipes, so apparently not good enough. But here's what's going on. So my coolant, I don't know why it does that, but my coolant here is going bye-bye, and you may be wondering, hey, so isn't this crusty coolant? And to that I say yes, but that's because when I was refilling it, I spilled it. So that's what that is. And then if you can see down here, there's more coolant, but that's just because I'm clumsy and I spilled the shit out of it. So yeah, the intercooler is drinking all my coolant. It's feeling a little thirsty. Don't worry, I'll get this engine bay sorted out, but pretty much, yeah, this thing's drinking all my coolant, and I'm not too happy about it, because I don't want to spend all this money on a new intercooler. But at least it's easy. Can you knock it off? At least it's easy, and like I can just pop these pipes off, that pipe, disconnect the fucking that hose, and then the hose to the overflow, and then call it a day. So we'll see about that, because I don't think there's no visible leaks like down here or anything like that, or like around here. So I just think let's zoom too far. There we go. I just think I need a new intercooler. Let me know what you guys think. Yeah, that's my update. Alright, so I was talking to my coworker today, and keep in mind, this is the same guy that bought my E36 from me. He's owned so many German cars. He's like me. He's owned a lot of them. I think he's had a W202, he's had the Mark 7 GTI, he's had the E36, and then he had an E39, and there's more in there that I'm forgetting, but that's all he had. And we came to the conclusion that German cars are just better, dude. They are just better. And I'm going to explain why. And keep in mind, I don't want to sound like some TikTok kid here, okay? Listen to me very closely when I say I've had 3 of them: an E36, an F32, and an F82, okay? So I've got my credibility, so to speak. I've also driven a handful of others. I'm gonna put them on the screen right now just because I need you guys to know. But what we talked about is that there's something so addicting about these cars. There's something so addicting. It just wants you to push it all the time. And I've come down to a theory on this, and it's the instant torque that a lot of these cars offer. Now, if you do research, like stuff like the EA888, the B58, the B48, the S55, all these engines, right? All these engines have one thing in common, and that is the very low point in which you hit peak torque. A lot of them hit peak torque at 1500 RPM. The B58 was, I think, 330, 340 foot-pounds of torque at 1500 RPM, right off the line, ready to go. And the GTI is the same way. The GTI may only make 220, 230 horsepower, but it has like around 270, 280 foot-pounds of torque from the line. And then that torque continues to be readily available throughout the entirety of the rev range, so you can rev the fuck out of it. And also, the trade-off between the torque and the horsepower, well, it's a perfect curve. It's a perfect fucking curve. I love it. This was my favorite thing about the Mark 7 Golf R I drove a long time. And it was just like how I could access torque at any rev range I wanted to. I could be at 80 on the highway in 7th gear and just drop a gear down to like, I don't know, 3,000 or 4,000 RPM, and then just hit it, and the all-wheel drive and that torque will just kick in immediately. You'll just go. You'll just go, and the car wants you to keep going and going and going and going. It wants you to push the limit. But here's the thing. If you're driving the car correctly, you'll never see the limit, which is why these cars are so much fun, because you can do so much shit with them without actually hitting that limit. I think I've been brainwashed, and quite honestly, I can never go back to any other nationality manufacturer. It's Germany, best car. Germany make best car, best BMW, best Mercedes-Benz, best Porsche, not Audi. But and any of the the others. Now, I've never pushed a Porsche to its limits, be it mid-engine or rear engine, none of that shit. I've never driven a Cayman 911 Boxster, what the fuck ever, you know? But a lot of the naturally aspirated mid-engine Porsches kind of go against what I just talked about. Like the 2.9 liter flat six that's in the 981. That engine makes all its power in the high end, so you get to, you know, rev it out and explore the rev range a little bit, which is fun if you really like driving. That's why I really want to buy a Boxster. Like a 981, a Boxster, or a Cayman, whatever. I really want to own a naturally aspirated base model mid-engine Porsche just because of the driving experience, dude. I've heard the driving dynamics crazy in those cars, and this is proof that I'm not a torque fiend. Okay, I don't lust over instant torque like Tesla people. One of my favorite cars, and I talked about this in a previous video, but one of my favorite cars that I've ever driven is the S2000, because you get to explore that rev range and kind of experiment with what works under what conditions. I love that. But this is just my opinion. From a usability standpoint on the street, I like that instant torque a lot more. It's a lot more fun for messing around, you know, if I did, you know, do that. It also helps if you want to, you know, just break the car loose a little bit. Just give it a little understeer. You can kind of just mash the throttle in a turn and the car will kind of do its thing. Although I will say a lot of older German cars don't do this. Like my E36, that had an M50 B25 with the Vanos. That car, it felt like it made its peak power around the mid to high range. I'd have to double check this, but that's just what my butt dyno's telling me. But the way that car handled, holy shit, dude. The E36 is such a phenomenally handling vehicle. Even with like shitty lowering springs and shitty coilovers, it still handles so well. And if you want to learn how to really like drive, then I recommend picking up a cheap ass E36 and getting it to the point where it, you know, it'll drive down the street, and then just taking it to some back roads and just doing your thing. The weight distribution and the way the chassis is just makes the car so fun, and it like wraps itself around you. And this is what a lot of people say about like mid-engine Porsches. I feel the same way about the E36. Another thing I want to talk about is how a lot of German cars are fairly attainable in the used market, and I've narrowed it down to one reason, and it's that people are just too fucking scared to own these cars. BMW in particular carries this sort of reputation that they're just gigantic pieces of shit. And I'll tell you why. I did a report on this for school not too long ago, probably a couple years ago. I think that the N54 and the N52, and I mean the N52 is solid, but I think more specifically the N54 and then like the E60 and then what was that 7 Series called? It was like the E65, E66. Those cars quite literally nuked BMW's reputation for reliability because their older engines, they're single cams and their early dual overhead cams like the M50, the M52, the M54. Those things are tanks, dude. Like all you got to do, and this is going to sound a little crazy maybe to the average Toyota owner, but all you got to do is just make sure your water pump's done and make sure your thermostat housing's done. Just replace those with metal parts, preferably cast iron because it's nice and strong, and then you will be fine. You will not have problems. Does this guarantee unlimited reliability? No. But it proves my point of what I was saying earlier, that people are just too scared to own these cars because they think just because there's a couple bad apples that applies to all of them. Another brand that kind of fits this narrative I want to talk about is Mercedes. And my personal philosophy when it comes to German cars is just don't buy the base model, the 330i and the G20 or the F30 or the 430. These are all exceptions. Anything with the B48 is really good. When I say don't buy base model German cars, I'm more so talking about your N20 328i's, but we're talking about Mercedes, so I'm going to talk about the C300. The C300 and the CLA, because those cars are equally dog shit. Now, the W204 C300, that is a good car. It has the M272 V6. It's pretty solid, and it generally shouldn't give you any problems. The more reliable M276 that's in the C350 is much better, but the M272 is not terrible. Now, the bad engines, the bad ones, is the one in the W204 C250. That thing's a piece of shit. But I more specifically want to talk about the W205 C300 with the M274 and the M264? Yeah, I think so. Gigantic pieces of shit. More specifically, the M274. That thing fucking blows. Never buy a car with that engine. The GLC, anything with the 300 designation that's made like after, I don't know, like 2014, just don't buy it. However, if you take a look at bigger engines like the M276, which has been used since the W211 E350, these are stupidly reliable engines, and they used them up until the new ones, which they fucking ditched everything for either the inline 6, which is still a good engine, but I'm talking about the V6. What's in the C43, the E43, the C450, the E450, up until like 2020-ish, 2021. Pretty much anything from the early 2010s to the late 2010s with the 450 designation is gonna have that V6, as well as the 43 AMG designation. Not the new one. The W206 has some fuck-ass hybrid 4-cylinder. I'm talking about before that. And the exception is the CLS that has the turbo supercharged inline 6, whatever the fuck it is. It's both. I really don't know how reliable they are because they're too new to say, but you know, I've not heard bad things about them. But my point is, a lot of the higher spec cars are just leagues more reliable than the lower specs, generally with Mercedes. And now I know what you're gonna say, but the new M276 and the C43, it's a hot V, it's a hot V. Shut the fuck up. It's a hot V, but it's good. It's a reliable hot V, believe it or fucking not. And now the M177, the 4-liter twin-turbo hot V V8, that's in the C63, the E63, the S63, the AMG GT. Although the ones in the S63 and the E63 are technically different, because it's the M177 LS2 versus the M177 LS1 since C63. Whatever, what the fuck ever. It's pretty solid. It definitely has its flaws, but it's better than the 6.2 and the 6.3. Don't even get me started on that 5.5 liter V8. I think it's the M157. That thing fucking blows. Just avoid at all costs. And now a few V8s I'm going to talk about. The M113 and the M113K in particular. The M113 is the 5 liter that's in like the R129 SL500, the R230. It's in the W140 S500. And I think a few other cars. That thing is a beast. Trust me, dude, that thing will last a million, billion, gajillion miles. And then there's what most normal car enthusiasts know, the M113K, the 5.4 liter supercharged V8 that's in the W211 E55, and the SL55 and the CLS55 AMG and, you know, all that shit. As long as, I'm gonna sound like a German car guy here, but as long as you get the intercooler pump and the pulley bearing and the fucking oil leak sorted out, you'll be fine. But that's just on the K, keep in mind. Modern Audi's just a fucking mess. Even the old V8 that was in the fucking, the A8 and the, what the fuck ever, dude. They're all pieces of shit. Fuck Audi. Audi fans, when they release their next Volkswagen Auto Group parts bin slop, the E888 is good. The E888 is good. Never forget that. Any car with the E888 is a good fucking engine. It's really good. But anyways, that's my little micro chat, my micro discussion. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm very well versed in this stuff. But yeah, that's it. Like and subscribe the fucking video, dude. I have to say that because if I don't say that, then no one's gonna like and subscribe the fucking video. But like and subscribe the video. Subscribe the video. Okay? Okay? That's it. Thank you. Just like it's TNT.